This is US Iran TV, brought to you by the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States and its freedom of speech. This is Jalil Mortazavi, and you are listening and watching us on US Iran TV. Today is Tuesday, and July 9th. The reason I'm talking in English, because most of the time we are obviously talking in Persian language. That's what this program is. However, today I have a special guest who obviously is an American, does not speak Farsi, although he understands some Farsi, but maybe in the future when his Farsi becomes obviously fluent, we can talk to him in Farsi. Anyway, we have special guest on the line through Skype, Dr. Tom Stallkop, who is physicist. But more importantly, he's also a political activist. And I met Tom through my daughter, believe it or not, because Tom's daughter, and as well as my daughter, go in the same school in town here. And that's how we met. And Tom also has a special relationship with Iran because Tom's father, before the revolution, as a oceanographer, used to work in Iran, Bushehr. And Tom visited his father when he was 7 years old. So he has a very fine memory of Iran. And also, as early as about a month ago, Tom had told me how much he loves Berberi, because obviously Berberi belongs to us, Turk. So where I'm come from, Tom, for your information, Berberi belongs to Turk people because they love to eat Berberi. So before we go on, let me introduce and welcome Tom to the show, and thanks for being with us.
Great being here. I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you. Dr. Stallkop, we're not going to talk about physics, but I would like to talk to you about U.S.-Iran relations. So obviously, we find you very interesting, Tom. You are politically activist. You know what's going on in the United States. My very question is, what is it about the United States and this certain animosity, especially high office in Washington? What do they want from Iran? You know, Iran is not a neighbor with the United States. Iran is not a competitive. America is obviously very industrialized country, very advanced in everything, much larger. And so in Western hemisphere, Iran is a Middle East. Iran is a very old country. So if you could tell our audience, what is it that the United States wants from Iran?
Okay. Sheesh. I think it has to do with oil, personally, similar to the reason we invaded Iraq in 2003. It's just my opinion, but from reading history since visiting Iran when I was young, it appears that may have been the case in the 50s when the first Iranian government was taken down and the Shah was put in place. I happened to visit Iran, like you said, when I was young, when I was a child, and the Shah was in power, and it was, I didn't see much politics at that point. It seemed pretty like a nice place to me. I enjoyed Tehran. I, of course, as you said, remember the Barbary bread, and I could still taste it all these years, walking across the street and getting it right out of the oven. And the people there, I remember, were extremely nice, especially the women, meaning the older women. I was 7 years old, just treating me like I was, I don't know, like something special. And I guess I was. I looked very different than everyone else, so maybe that helped. But I just remember it as a very nice place. And when I came back to the States, of course, within 2 years, I was 7 years old in 1977. So within 2 years, the revolution happened. And at that point, I remember a big, I guess you could call it propaganda here in this country, where the media establishment and the power structure in this country began to paint Iran as this terrible place. Of course, there was the hostage crisis, and that what was, shown to us through the lens of these powerful individuals who didn't give us any context of what that hostage crisis and what brought that about. Just said that these are bad people holding Americans, and Iran is a very bad place, and basically almost calling it evil. And of course, my memory of Iran personally was the opposite. Everyone there would seem nice to me, and I didn't quite understand. I think when I was 7, we sent letters to the hostages, the school children. I was one of them. And this is kind of a funny story, but I put a razor blade in my letter so they could cut their ropes and get free. But,
Tom, can I translate so far? And دوست دکتر استلکاپ داره میگه که من خاطره خوبی از ایران دارم. وقتی خوب بچه بودم اونجا بودم، خیلی به من خوش میگذشت. رفته بوده به دیدن پدرش و دلیل اصلی که امریکا مشکلاتی با ایران داره به خاطر نفته و از زمان گروگانگیری که اینجا نشون میدادن که چقدر ایران بده و اینا رو به گروگان گرفتن کارمندای سفارت رو، ولی میگفت هرگز نمیگفتن که چرا این کار کردن و چه اتفاقی افتاده بود که به اینجا رسیده، تبدیل شده به انقلاب و اینا. بنابراین حتی وقتی میگم من بچه بودم، مدرسه بودم، اون موقع نامه مینوشتیم میفرستادیم برای این گروگان ها. میگفت یه داستان خیلی خنده‌دار بهت میگم. من اون موقع یه دونه تیغ گذاشتم لای پاکت توی نامه که بفرستم که بابا اگر اونجا شماها را با طناب بستن، به وسیله این تیغ ببرید طناب رو آزاد کنید خودتونو تا بتونید فرار کنید. میگه به خاطر اینکه قدرت‌هایی در واشنگتن بود که فقط می‌خواستن ایران را به عنوان یک کشور بد قلمداد بدن در چشم امریکایی‌ها و هم هر روز این داستانا رو می‌شنیدن. Tom, I also want to mention to our audience that Tom, obviously, being politically activist, one of the things that I got to know Tom, many of you probably remember a little over 20 years ago, TWA Flight 800, who took off from JFK Airport and a few minutes later crashed to the ocean. And all 200 some passengers immediately died. So at the time, I remember even myself, I was in Washington, D.C. visiting a very good friend of mine. Then we were just watching it live on TV. They were talking about how there could be a terrorist activity, explosion, whatever. But Tom was watching at the time and didn't believe any of it. He thought that it got to be something more than that. That's why he went after the government, did the produced documentary. He was on CNN, NBC, ABC, all over the place. Tom is pursuing that very thing even today, and he just had a cross-examined former Secretary of Defense, William Perry in Washington, in California. So this is getting big. Pretty soon, if the Tom going to come up with the end result of his investigation, I'm sure you're going to see Tom again throughout the media in America, because Tom's discovery was that there was a American Navy in the ocean. They were practicing or testing some missile, and one of those missiles hit this plane, and the plane crashed. At the time, the only report I ever heard about that, it was from former ABC bureau chief Pierre Salinger, used to be the White House spokesman during the Kennedy. Pierre Salinger did a little short interview. He said, yeah, he heard there was a missile hit the plane. And now, obviously, since that time, we didn't hear anything. Now you can hear the rest of the story from Tom. Pretty soon, you're going to hear it all over the place. Now, back to our story. So, Tom, you mentioned that problem with Iran is about oil. And Iran, as an Iranian, or many Iranian, obviously, we have oil. We sell oil. We not try to keep oil away from anybody. Anybody who wants to buy our oil, Iran is willing to sell, just like any other commodity that you have. if Iran is the not just Iran, many of the country area, including Iran, that's the major source of income. They don't want to keep oil; they want to sell it. So what is the problem? Why can't they just say, we would like to buy your oil, and that's end of the story? Uh, can you explain that a little bit? Just why is it that they cannot accept this simple solution? I just outlined.
Very good point. I don't know. Current history today, as you're seeing, there's a big battle between Saudi Arabia and Iran. That appears to be what's driving the differences today. And for some reason, we're very closely allied with Saudi Arabia. It might be that Iran did not want to cooperate with us as much as Saudi Arabia is willing to do. It appears to me, anyway, that Saudi Arabia is a big. Well, it's true. They purchase a lot of military hardware from us, and there's a lot of cooperation between the two countries. And because of that cooperation, they're considered an ally. And Iran, from my perspective, from what I've seen, seems to be a bit more independent than Saudi Arabia. And maybe that is, a country that's much less, not as easily controlled by powerful interests here in this country.
Oh.
So the one thing is to have the oil and the money. The other thing is to be manipulated in other ways, and it might be more difficult to manipulate Iran than it is Saudi Arabia. But that's just how I make sense of it in my own head. I haven't really researched this issue much.
Okay.
So you can translate, but I have to make a point.
Let me translate this.
The propaganda.
Okay.
Go ahead.
تام میگه که درسته، ولی همکاری بین مثلا امریکا با عربستان سعودی که هم هرچی نفت میخوایم از اونا میخریم، جنس میفروشیم، همکاری داره، ما میتونیم اونا رو کنترل کنیم، ولی کشوری مثل ایران مثل اینکه علاقه به کنترل نداره، چون اونا استقلال دارن، به همین خاطر مشکلات سر همین استقلاله که نمیتونن کنترل کنن. هرچی که امریکا میخواد اونا باید انجام بدن. ایران این کار نمیکنه، ولی عربستان سعودی این کار میکنه. به همین خاطر میگه مشکلات ممکنه اونجا باشه. Tom, I think you're right. Long time ago, so I think was on the CBS 60 Minutes, they were talking about Saudi Arabia. They mentioned that most of Saudi Arabia heavy thinking and heavy lifting done by the foreigners. You know what they mean by foreigners? Westerner. So therefore, they can do anything they want. But in Iran, since the revolution, I guess that's not the case. That's why President Obama, since 2013, worked very hard to have this negotiation nuclear deal, which obviously you know more about than I would, since you are a physicist. However, President Obama came with this idea that if he could control Iran's nuclear activity and the rest, we can live with it. What can you say about that stuff for us? You're taking about the nuclear deal. Now President Trump obviously decided to leave that treaty.
Well, that was a talking point in Trump's campaign. It's a bad deal. I don't think Trump studied the deal at all. I think he saw it, only certain portions of it where Iran did get some money. Basically, I think we unfroze some assets of Iran, which resulted in a lot of money going to Iran. And Trump saw that one action and criticized it and said, I'm getting rid of the whole deal, without really studying the merits of it. Now, I don't know this. Perhaps he read the whole deal and found intricate parts of it that were flawed, and that's why he objects to it. I don't know that. I don't have any personal inside information. It's just from what I hear him saying on TV. He doesn't seem to be very well read, this president of ours. So I think it's more of a knee-jerk reaction, some impulse on his part, and making a decision without thinking it through. I believe there are a lot of analysts out there that saying he doesn't really have a policy towards Iran. It's more of just what we say here in this country, shooting from the hip. and towards that country, and not really thinking about the consequences. And it's just not well thought out. I think when John Kerry and the Iranian foreign minister made that deal, I think it was in Geneva. I can't remember.
Correct.
It was a wonderful moment, and of course I tweeted about it on my Twitter feed, and I was very happy. And when the first opportunity that Trump had to withdraw from the deal, he did not withdraw from the deal, and I was very happy about that.
Okay.
When he did withdraw from the deal, I was upset, and I think it was a mistake.
All right. تام داره میگه که به نظر من پرزیدنت ترامپ این قرارداد اصلا نخونده، چون اولا آدمی اهل مطالعه هم نیستش. اینو از اولم همه میتونستن تشخیص بدن. به همین خاطر از اولم گفته بود که من از این معاهده میرم بیرون و رفته، و یه آدمی هستش که روی احساسات تصمیم میگیره و اینجوری میره جلو، در صورتی که اون قرارداد خوبی بود، چون من اینا رو اون موقع دنبال میکردم، آقای ظریف و با آقای جان کری. به نظر میرسید که قراردادی خوبی بوده چون روش کار شده بود اینا، ولی آقای ترامپ نمیخواست این کارو بکنه، به همین خاطر اومد بیرون. Tom, how much of Trump is thinking influenced by the Israeli right-wing government concerning Iran? Because it seems to me that they are the one. See, Saudi Arabia spends money, so does United Arab Emirates, and then by the influence of right-wing government of Israel in Washington, they obviously spend a ton of money with the lobby, but they also have very close contact with the Trump administration and Trump himself. How much Israelis plays being anti-Iranian sentiment to keep it alive?
Yeah, I think it's just historically we've just had a flawed policy in the Middle East. I don't think you can pin it on any one nation. Although, of course, you must recognize that the American-Israeli Political Action Committee has a lot of power in Washington. Of course, their policies towards Iran, I don't think, are helpful. But you have to look at all the countries that we ally with: Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Israel, the three major allies of ours in the area. And I believe they're just on the wrong side of history. They're making hypocritical policy decisions. Of course, Saudi Arabia is not democratic. Egypt, let the first democratically elected leader in that country, Morsi, just die in a courtroom, apparently without rendering assistance for 20 minutes, is what I read. And also, I saw video footage of the Egyptian authorities shooting protesters in the back as they ran away. Not protesters, they were sitting in. There's a sit-in, a peaceful sit-in. Muslim Brotherhood, and these are the people we're aligned with, these brutal people. Now, having said that, I think the invasion of Iraq was a mistake. They had a brutal dictator as well. And what do? I think there are ways of handling and dealing with the problems in the Middle East, and whether or not it's good to overthrow dictators or ways of handling them in any other way. But it seems we go to the extremes, and right now Trump is on one of the extremes, which is Iran is the enemy, and at all costs we're going to maintain that belief.
All right,
and I think that's a mistake.
تام میگه که به طور کلی سیاست خارجی امریکا در مورد خاورمیانه سیاست خوبی نیست و در گذشته هم نشون دادید، چرا که مثلا حمایتشون از کشورهای دیکتاتوری مثل عربستان سعودی یا مثلا مصر و اینا، در صورتی که مصر رئیس جمهوری داشت که مردم انتخاب کرده بودن، آقای مرسی که چند وقت پیش فوت کردن در زندان. گفت به طور کلی تمام این کارهایی که انجام شده همه روی افکار و اندیشه واقعی در واشنگتن نبوده. حالا هم که ایران رو انداختن تو وسط، فعلا میخوان ایران رو به این شکلی که این دشمن ماست اینا نگه دارن، ولی متاسفانه بازم بگم که سیاست خارجی امریکا روی هیچ اصول و برنامه‌ای نیستش. با کسانی که در خاورمیانه ما بیشتر روابط داریم همه کشورهای دیکتاتوری هستند. بنابراین الان فعلا مد دشمنی با ایران آقای ترامپ همچنان میخواد نگه داره. Tom, I'd like to know what's going to happen in your study and based on your observation and knowing about American, policy makers and all of that. What do you think that will happen between the Iran and the United States, and where are we going from this?
Well, I hope John Bolton gets fired sooner than later. I think Trump pulling back from that alleged planned attack was wonderful. I was very worried about Bolton getting his way in Iran. If Bolton resigns or is removed, that will be a very good sign. I'm hopeful. I'm not sure, but it's a good sign. I'm nervous. I don't know. It depends. We have this president in office right now who's unpredictable, and so unfortunately that means our relationship with Iran will continue to be unpredictable. I hope that there are elements in Iran that reach out to this president through not normal channels, maybe even talking to his daughter or son-in-law. I don't know what they could do, but somehow getting to Trump, maybe sending a letter like Kim Jong-un, not equating Iran with Kim Jong-un, but just saying that Trump seems to like personal letters. So if Khamenei sends Trump a personal letter, I think that might help a great deal.
Oh, and that's a good point.
Something like that.
Let me explain it. That's very interesting. از تام پرسیدم به نظر تو این مسائل بین ایران و امریکا به کجا داره میره و چی خواهد شد؟ اول گفتش که من امیدوارم که جان بولتون به زودی از کار برکنار بشه، چون بودن ایشون اونجا اصلا خوب نیست برای امریکا و ضمناً سیاست خارجی امریکا فعلا روی همین پایه‌ای که آقای ترامپ داره میبره جلو، چون ایشون یه آدمی هستش که هیچ گونه برنامه‌ای نداره. ممکنه یه روزی دخترش یه چیزی بگه، دامادش یه چیزی بگه، یا اینکه مثل کره شمالی یه نامه شخصی بهش برسه که اون تعریف بکنه، مثل اینکه احتیاج داره. گفت مثلا من به نظرم میرسه که اگر آقای خامنه‌ای یه نامه شخصی برای این بفرسته ممکنه خیلی کمک بکنه و یه دفعه مسائل تغییر پیدا بکنه، که این یکی از خواسته‌های فکر کنم آقای ترامپ هم بوده که میگه میخوام باهاتون حرف بزنم، فعلا به جایی نرسیده. تام، به عنوان I almost start speaking Farsi to you. For last question, you are obviously physicist, you know more about this thing that I will ever know. In terms of Iran nuclear deal, what do you think about that deal? Keep Iran away from nuclear bomb, and under the current situation, Iran started increasing the uranium. So, what do you think about this deal? And overall, is this deal going to prevent Iran from getting nuclear bomb, or this is just a manifestation of Madison Avenue thinking, keeping Iran? Because Iran said that we don't want it. Our religious leader, even Ayatollah Khamenei, said that he gave him fatwa, which is haram. We don't want any nuclear bomb. So what is this scary tactic when it comes to nuclear deal? Tell us about that.
Well, to me, it seemed as though Iran, whether or not it's permitted by the religious leaders, I think the Defense Department in Iran may see value in such a weapon. They have a foe in the region with those weapons, and militarily it would make sense. Of course, it would be dangerous as well. You could have an arms race, and Saudi Arabia could get weapons next, and that would not be good. So I think it's a good deal. I think it would have given a 10-year period where there could be negotiations. It could get 10 years of negotiations without any threat of nuclear weapons, and it would have worked. And they could have used those 10 years to perhaps disarm Israel and maybe get all nuclear weapons out of the entire area. And I just, as you said, I spoke to former Defense Secretary William Perry not too long ago, and he is actively trying to get nuclear weapons away from every country. So I think that it would be great to have a much larger deal that involves the United States and getting us back on the track of not having nuclear weapons either. And I think that conversation should be started in the context of the Iran deal. I think so.
Tom, thanks very much for being with us. We certainly appreciate it to hear your point of view, because as an American politically activist, also a professional in the field of physics, we just wanted to ask a question with somebody in America obviously knows all about how the Washington think and do things, and at the meantime to have a perspective. So I appreciate it for appearing on the program. Maybe in the future we'll have more conversation.
Yes, nice to talk to you, Dalil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
دوستان، آقای تام گفتش که داشتن بمب اتم 100% کمک میکنه به ارتش یک کشوری که به هر حال از نقطه نظر قوی بودن در منطقه و اینا چیزی هستش که بالاخره نظر ارتش، ولی کلا داشتن بمب اتم چیزی خوبی نیستش، اون خطرناکه. و به همین خاطر آقای اوباما که این قرارداد بس قرارداد 10 سال ادامه داشت، اون در 10 سال آینده میتونستیم دوباره یک مذاکره انجام بدیم که این مذاکره باعث خلع سلاح خیلی از کشورها میشد، به ویژه اسرائیل که مثلا بمب اتم داره. میگم من صحبتم با آقای ویلیام پری که رفته بوده سر همین جریان دادگاهش با او کراس اگزامین میکرده، میگفت دیدگاه ویلیام پری که یکی از فیزیکدانای معروفه که وزیر دفاع شده بود، میگه اون معتقده که میخوایم تمام کشورها را خلع سلاح بکنیم از چیز اتمی، یکی از ایده های اونه، ولی با توجه به شرایط کنونی که ما نمیتونستیم دیگه کاری بکنیم، چون اونا نمیخواستن و ما میخواستیم که این کارو بکنیم. دیل ایران دیل خوبی بود، 10 سال هم 10 سال زیاده، چون مذاکرات در اون موقع میشد انجام. بنابراین از گفته‌های آقای تام به عنوان یه امریکایی، کسی که تو این کار خیلی فعاله و خیلی هم آدم مثلا نسبتا محافظه‌کاره، اینا نشون میده که ایرانی‌ها کارهایی که دارن انجام میدن درست بوده تا الان. ولی خب آقای ترامپ از این دیل اومد بیرون، تمام کاسه کوزه ها رو به هم زد. برای دوستان تا دقایق دیگه برنامه فارسی خودمون را دیدگاه‌های رسانه‌ها رو دنبال می‌کنیم. یه قسمت از این حالت خیلی جدی اتمی این بیرون وارد رسانه‌ها بشیم، ببینیم که رسانه‌های فارسی زبان نامبر 1 چه چیزایی برای شما دارن. تا چند دقیقه دیگه.